Thank you for choosing wisdom of the Dharma. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you never miss a new update. Your support helps us keep sharing powerful, life-changing wisdom with the world. And don't forget to drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's grow and learn together. Part 1. The Mystery of Effortless Fortune. It begins with salt. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract blessings without trying? Their careers move forward with ease. Opportunities find them. Wealth flows, relationships stabilize, and their homes feel light. Meanwhile, others, maybe even you, try harder every year, but things still feel stuck. The harder you push, the more life pushes back. This pattern might seem random at first. But for those of us who've spent years studying spiritual energy, Buddhist mindfulness, and ancient Feng Shui practices, we know there is rarely such a thing as coincidence. Energy, subtle, invisible, and often overlooked, is always at play. And more often than not, the people who seem lucky are not just lucky. They are energetically aligned. Here's the surprising part. That alignment doesn't start with some grand ritual or expensive course. It begins with something already in your kitchen. Something as ordinary as salt. Yes, salt. Not the Himalayan salt lamp on your shelf. Not a trendy detox bath product. Just pure, unprocessed salt. The kind your grandmother might have kept in a jar beside the stove. For thousands of years, salt has been used not only for flavor, but for energy cleansing, spiritual protection, and wealth attraction. In Buddhism, salt is often scattered before ceremonies to purify space. In traditional Japanese culture, sumo wrestlers toss salt before a match to dispel bad spirits. And even in ancient Greek temples, salt was burned in fire rituals to cleanse the air. Why? Because salt is a stabilizer. In every tradition, it's been seen as a bridge, between seen and unseen, between the body and the mind, between chaos and calm. In Feng Shui, salt absorbs stagnant qi, the invisible life force that must move freely through your home for health, harmony, and fortune to flow. But modern life has made us forget. We chase solutions in apps, in productivity hacks, in 5-step routines, while ignoring the energetic space we live in every day. You can visualize success, chant affirmations, and write down your goals. But if the energy around you is heavy, chaotic, or blocked, you'll always feel like you're swimming upstream. This is where salt becomes more than a mineral. It becomes your silent ally. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how something as simple as a jar of salt can help turn your space into a sanctuary of clarity, peace, and prosperity. You'll learn where to place it, how to activate it, and most importantly, how to work with it as a daily reminder of your own energetic power. Because true wealth doesn't just come from action. It comes from alignment. And sometimes, alignment starts with just a pinch of salt. Let's begin. Part 2. Salt in Sacred Traditions, a silent guardian across ages. Long before science labeled it sodium chloride, salt was considered a bridge between the material and the spiritual. Civilizations across continents and centuries all seemed to recognize something remarkable. Salt wasn't just for taste, it was for protection, purification, and energetic harmony. In nearly every culture, this simple substance held a sacred place at the heart of ritual and healing. In ancient Tibet, monks would scatter salt around the perimeter of a sacred space to prevent dark energies from entering. In India, Hindu priests use salt water to cleanse the aura after rituals or illness. In Japan, the Shinto tradition places little pyramids of salt, known as morishio, at the entrance of homes and businesses to ward off negative forces and invite abundance. Even in ancient Rome, soldiers were paid in salt. That's where the word salary comes from. Salt was considered so valuable that it became a symbol of loyalty and preservation. And then there's Buddhism. Though not flashy or mysterious, salt plays a quiet yet powerful role in Buddhist practices. In some monasteries, it is placed outside the gates to absorb heavy karmic energy. In funeral rites, small bags of salt are used to help the living cleanse themselves from the energy of death. Why? Because salt, like mindfulness, draws impurities to the surface so they can be released. What's fascinating is that these traditions developed independently, without influence from one another, yet arrived at the same conclusion: salt stabilizes. It clears what is heavy. It returns balance where there is distortion. And it does all of this in silence. It doesn't sparkle like crystals. It doesn't carry a fragrance like incense. But it works, reliably, quietly, and without the need for attention. That's why it's been called a guardian. It stands watch over space. It absorbs what doesn't belong. And it never demands credit. In our modern lives, we often seek the spectacular, the bold fix, the loud solution, the dramatic transformation. But ancient wisdom reminds us that true power is often humble. It hides in plain sight. It doesn't need fanfare to be effective. Salt is one of those hidden tools. And the reason it still works today, just as it did 1,000 years ago, is because energy doesn't care about trends. Energy responds to presence, to intention, and to balance. So when you begin working with salt, not just as seasoning, but as a spiritual ally, you're tapping into something timeless. You're stepping into a stream of wisdom that's been flowing quietly through human history, protecting, clearing, and guiding those who know how to listen. In the next section, we'll talk about how to hear the signals when your energy and your space are out of balance. Because before we can clear anything, we must first learn how to recognize what's wrong. Part 3. Signs of blocked energy, when your space speaks. Have you ever walked into a room that looked perfectly clean, but something just felt off? You couldn't explain it. The lighting was fine. The decor was tasteful. But the air felt heavy. Your body tensed up. You wanted to leave, even though there was no obvious reason why. That subtle discomfort, that sense of weight without form, is not just mood or imagination. In many spiritual systems, from Buddhist mindfulness to ancient Feng Shui, it's a signal that energy has stopped flowing. In Eastern philosophy, all life is governed by qi, the vital energy that moves through our bodies, our homes, and the natural world. When this energy circulates freely, we feel clarity, lightness, and possibility. But when it stagnates, trapped in corners, blocked by clutter, or dampened by emotional residue, everything slows down. Wealth stalls. Health falters. Motivation fades. This isn't superstition. It's energetic resonance. Just as still water becomes murky and lifeless, stagnant qi becomes a magnet for spiritual dullness. You don't have to be an energy expert to recognize the signs. You just have to pay attention. Some of the most common symptoms of energetic blockage include unexplained fatigue, especially in certain areas of your home. Have you ever noticed that you always feel sleepy on your living room couch, no matter how well rested you are? That could be a hint. Another sign, you wake up feeling tired, even after a full night's sleep. Or maybe your dreams are restless and intense, leaving you unsettled. In Feng Shui, the area beneath the bed is often where energy pools overnight. If it isn't cleared, your sleep becomes a battleground between stress and rest. Emotional tension is another clue. You may find that arguments or irritability increase in specific rooms. Perhaps conversations in the dining area always turn sharp. Or devices in one corner constantly malfunction. Light bulbs blow, electronics glitch, and nothing ever works quite right in that spot. Even plants, one of nature's purest energy indicators, can tell you something. If a healthy plant keeps dying in one location despite your care, it's often absorbing more than water. It's absorbing toxic energy. Let me share a story. A software engineer living in Seattle began noticing a strange pattern. His productivity dropped, and he couldn't focus. He had redesigned his home office, bought a standing desk, optimized lighting, yet still, every time he sat down to work, his chest felt tight and his thoughts grew foggy. His friend, a yoga teacher, casually suggested trying a small energetic reset. Skeptical but open, he placed a bowl of sea salt in the corner of the room that felt most dense. Within a few days, he felt a shift. It wasn't dramatic, but it was real. A lightness returned. His thoughts moved more freely. He could breathe. He didn't change his schedule. He didn't overhaul his life. He just cleared the energy. That's the essence of awareness. Energy doesn't always scream, it whispers. Your job is to learn how to listen. Before we can shift anything, we must first recognize where things have stopped moving. Whether it's your wallet, your creativity, your health, or your peace of mind, blocked energy shows up physically and emotionally. You don't have to fear it, but you do have to notice it. In the next section, we'll dive into the secret of why salt works, not just as a chemical, but as a spiritual ally in restoring flow, balance, and fortune. When used with care and clarity, this humble mineral can become one of the most powerful tools in your home. Let's explore how. Part 4, The Power of Salt in Feng Shui, From Corners to Karma. It's easy to think of salt as something simple, just another kitchen staple, just another mineral. But across thousands of years and cultures, salt has carried a far deeper role. In the world of Feng Shui and Buddhist spiritual practice, salt is seen not just as a substance, but as a silent force. It doesn't call attention to itself, but it does something profound. It absorbs what no longer serves. It clears what is stuck. It opens what has been closed. Salt, quite literally, clears the way for energy, for peace, and for wealth. But how? Why does something so basic hold such energetic power? Let's begin with what Feng Shui teaches. According to this ancient Chinese system of spatial energy, Qi, the vital life force, must flow freely through your home. When Qi becomes trapped, blocked, or disturbed, it can affect your sleep, your thinking, your health, and yes, even your finances. Think of Qi like water. If it becomes stagnant, it spoils. Energy behaves the same. That's where salt steps in. In Feng Shui, salt is considered a powerful yin balancer. It naturally pulls in heavy, chaotic, or excessive energy. Much like how a sponge absorbs water, salt absorbs energetic toxicity. And it's no coincidence that salt is often placed in the dark corners of rooms, near the front door, or beneath the bed. These are the places where energy tends to collect, sit, and stagnate. From a scientific standpoint, there's something fascinating here too. Salt is hygroscopic, it pulls moisture from the air. And with that moisture, it also attracts negative ions, which are associated with tension, anxiety, and fatigue. That's why people often feel lighter or calmer after visiting the ocean. It's not just the sound of the waves, it's the air, charged with salt and sea minerals, that helps clear emotional heaviness. But beyond physics and Feng Shui, salt carries deep spiritual symbolism. In Buddhist and yogic teachings, our environment is an extension of our inner state. If your space is cluttered, heavy, or lifeless, it often reflects what's happening in your mind or your karma. And just as we meditate to clear the mind, We can also meditate through action by cleansing the spaces we live in. Salt becomes a mirror. It reveals the unseen. It holds what we no longer need until we're ready to release it. There's a reason salt is used at the threshold of temples. There's a reason it's used in funeral rites. There's a reason it's buried, offered, or dissolved with ritual care. It carries the weight of what we can't see, and it does so without drama. Let's consider a modern example. A small business owner in Austin, Texas, had been going through a difficult year. Sales dropped. Tension at home increased. She'd tried changing marketing strategies, adjusted her schedule, even took a short vacation, but nothing seemed to shift. A close friend who practiced energy work visited her home and immediately noticed a heaviness, especially in the corners of her office and near the front door. They placed small bowls of unrefined sea salt in key Feng Shui locations: the southeast wealth corner, the bedroom corners, under the work desk. Within weeks, something began to change. She started sleeping more deeply. Her mood lifted. Family tension eased. And slowly, new clients began reaching out. She didn't tell anyone what she'd done. But inside, she knew something had finally moved. Salt didn't create the shift. It allowed the shift to happen. And that's the real power of this humble mineral. It doesn't force, it invites. It doesn't control, it clears. Salt doesn't fix your life, but it helps restore the space in which your life unfolds. In the next part, we'll take this idea even deeper. Because when salt is combined with water and light, three of the most ancient elements of spiritual purification, it forms a ritual that can truly transform your home and your energy. Let's explore how. Part 5. The Salt Jar Ritual, a daily practice for inner and outer clarity. Placing salt in the right corners of your home is powerful. But when salt is combined with water and intention, it becomes something more than a purifier. It becomes a living ritual. This is where the salt jar comes in. Simple in appearance, yet deeply transformative, this practice creates a space where your energy, your environment, and your awareness meet. The salt jar ritual is rooted in both Feng Shui and Buddhist mindfulness. It's not about belief or superstition. It's about energy, and the way intention shapes that energy. Here's how to do it. Start with a clear glass jar or cup. Avoid colored glass or decorative patterns. Transparency matters because it symbolizes clarity, honesty, and the ability to see what lies beneath. Fill the jar halfway with clean, purified water. Water represents flow, renewal, and movement. It is the emotional carrier that spreads the salt's properties through your space. Next, add a generous tablespoon of pure white salt. Sea salt or Himalayan salt is ideal, but even simple, unrefined table salt will do. As you pour, don't rush. Pause. Breathe. Visualize the salt dissolving not just physically, but energetically, breaking apart heaviness, fear, and hidden stagnation. Then, place a small square of red cloth over the top of the jar. In many Eastern traditions, red is the color of life force, protection, and prosperity. It serves as a spiritual seal. Tie it loosely with a red or gold string, not too tight. Just enough to hold the energy in while allowing intention to flow. Now choose where to place your jar. The ideal location is where you spend the most time: your desk, your living room, your bedside table. It should be somewhere visible, not to decorate your space, but to remind you that this space is being held, watched, and supported. Once it's placed, the jar begins its silent work. The salt absorbs, the water carries, and the red cloth protects. But this isn't a passive object. The real magic happens in the moments you choose to connect with it. Each morning, stand before your jar. Take 3 slow breaths. Look into the water. Whisper an affirmation, not to the jar, but to your own field of energy. It could be something like, I am clear, calm, and ready to receive, or peace flows into this space and into my life. These aren't just words. They are instructions to your own energetic body. This act may take only a minute, but over time, it reshapes your relationship with your space and yourself. You begin to move through the day with more calm, more clarity, more focus. And those invisible blocks that used to weigh you down? They begin to shift. You may not see the salt changing, but you will feel the atmosphere soften. The beauty of this ritual is in its humility. It doesn't demand candles or incense. It doesn't require a belief system. It only asks for your presence. In the next part, we'll look deeper into why combining salt, water, and light creates such a powerful energetic triad, and how you can use these elements together to realign the flow of prosperity in your home. Part 6. Body as a Vessel, the 21-day salt bath to cleanse karma. Your home reflects your energy, but your body holds it. No matter how balanced your living space becomes, if your internal field remains cluttered, heavy, or reactive, misfortune tends to linger. That's because your body is not just muscle and bone, it's a container of memory, emotion, and invisible residue. Every anxious thought, every unresolved argument, every disappointment, it stays with you, layer by layer, like dust collecting in unseen corners. Over time, this energetic weight begins to dull your spirit. It clouds your intuition. It keeps you stuck in patterns of fear, overthinking, or emotional fatigue. You may not notice it right away, but it shows up in subtle ways: shallow sleep, irritability, feeling overwhelmed for no clear reason, or even difficulty receiving the blessings you've worked for. This is where the 21-day salt bath ritual becomes a deeply personal practice, not just to refresh your body, but to cleanse your energetic field. The process is simple. For 21 consecutive days, excluding Thursdays, when cosmic energy is often unsettled, prepare a warm bath or bucket of clean water. Add 1 tablespoon of natural salt, sea salt, rock salt, or Himalayan salt. Stir gently, and as the salt dissolves, take a few moments to ground yourself. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. As you bathe, don't rush. Allow the water to touch your skin with full awareness. Imagine the salt lifting what no longer belongs to you, old pain, fear, comparison, regret, and returning you to a clearer, lighter state. You can whisper an affirmation if it helps anchor your intention. I release what I no longer need. I return to peace. I return to clarity. You don't need candles. You don't need music. All you need is sincerity. By the 7th day, many people notice their sleep becoming deeper, their breath more relaxed. By day 14, mental fog begins to lift. And by day 21, it's not unusual to feel a renewed sense of inner spaciousness, as if the body is no longer fighting against something invisible. This isn't just a bath. It's a declaration that you are willing to part ways with the emotional clutter and energetic heaviness you've outgrown. Let me share one story. A young creative director in Los Angeles found herself completely burnt out. Her work felt dull. Her relationships became strained. She tried therapy, meditation apps, even travel, but nothing seemed to shift. Then, as part of a spiritual reset, she committed to this salt bath ritual. Quietly, without telling anyone. After 3 weeks, her team noticed her energy had changed. She smiled more. Ideas flowed again. Nothing dramatic had happened. She had simply made space. That's the gift of salt. It helps us return to ourselves. And when your body becomes a clean vessel, your life becomes a clearer reflection. In the next part, we'll explore how even celestial energy, like the movements of Saturn and Mars, can influence our path, and how an ancient salt remedy can help you restore balance when the stars feel out of sync. Part 7, Planetary Balance, using black salt and yogurt to calm the skies. Sometimes, the blocks in your life aren't coming from your habits or your home. They come from something higher, forces beyond your control, written in the sky. In many ancient traditions, including Vedic astrology and Buddhist cosmology, the movement of planets is seen as deeply tied to our inner world. When Saturn brings heavy karmic trials or Mars stirs up conflict and agitation, we may feel it long before we understand it. You might notice periods where everything seems to misfire, communication breaks down, money slips away, tempers flare for no reason. It's not always about mindset or environment. Sometimes, it's a reflection of the planetary current you're swimming through. But just as we cleanse our homes and our bodies, we can also calm these celestial disturbances. One of the most overlooked yet powerful remedies combines two humble ingredients, black salt and plain yogurt. Black salt, also known as Kala Namak, is rich in grounding minerals. In spiritual energy work, it's known for absorbing dense frequencies and protecting against psychic turbulence. Yogurt, on the other hand, is considered cooling and stabilizing. It soothes fire, eases mental heat, and brings emotional balance. The practice is simple. Once a week, ideally on Tuesday or Saturday, the days ruled by Mars and Saturn, mix a small pinch of black salt into 1 spoon of plain yogurt. Eat it slowly and mindfully. As you do, bring your attention inward. Whisper gently to yourself, I release the chaos of the skies. I return to center. I anchor in peace. This isn't about controlling fate. It's about aligning with it. When the cosmic winds are strong, we don't resist them, we root deeper. We protect our balance while letting the storm pass overhead. A financial analyst in New York once shared how this tiny practice changed her entire week. Every Saturday morning, she paused to take her black salt and yogurt, and without fail, her anxiety dropped. She stopped overreacting to things outside her control. Life didn't suddenly get easy, but she got steadier. Because sometimes, peace isn't about what happens around you. It's about what you choose to hold inside. Part 8, Final Reflection. True wealth comes from alignment, not chase. After all the rituals, the salt bowls, the quiet moments with a glass jar by your window, there's one truth that remains. Prosperity is not something you chase. It's something you create space for. Salt, as humble as it is, has never been the source of magic. It's a mirror. It reveals what you've been carrying, what your home has absorbed, and what your body has endured in silence. When used with care and clarity, salt helps restore the forgotten balance between your energy and your environment. But the real transformation doesn't come from the object, it comes from the intention. Every time you place a bowl of salt in the corner of your room, you're not just decorating. You're sending a message to the universe, I am ready to release. I am willing to align. Every time you whisper a short affirmation beside your salt jar, you're speaking not to superstition, but to your own subconscious. You're reminding yourself that clarity, peace, and abundance are choices, not accidents. This entire journey, from the corners of your bedroom to the center of your heart, is really about one thing: awareness. Noticing what's stagnant. Responding with presence. Returning, again and again, to what truly matters. As Buddhist teachings remind us, the outer world is shaped by the inner. If your home is heavy, look inward. If your path feels blocked, look gently at your habits, your fears, and your space. Then begin, not with a drastic change, but with a quiet gesture. A pinch of salt. A breath of intention. Real fortune comes not when we demand it, but when we make room for it. So as we close this journey together, let this be your quiet affirmation. I release what no longer serves me. I align with clarity. I welcome peace, purpose, and wealth. If those words resonate with you, write them down. Speak them aloud. Let your space hear them. Let the energy around you respond. Because sometimes, all it takes is a shift in energy, and a willingness to begin, with something as simple as salt. If this journey has opened your eyes to the power of energy in your home and in your life, don't let it end here. Start your own ritual. Place the salt. Speak the words. Create the shift. And if this video brought you clarity or inspiration, I invite you to support the wisdom of the Dharma channel by clicking like, subscribing, and turning on notifications. Your presence helps this message reach more people who may need it. Leave a comment below with your affirmation or share how energy has shown up in your life. Let's grow a community rooted in awareness, intention, and quiet power. Until next time, may your space be clear, your heart light, and your path aligned.